Hi y'all, I just want to let you know that before we get into the video, I did flip-flop in this video saying like people with autism or a person who has autism and people who are autistic. The correct verbiage that you're supposed to use is people who are autistic. My son is autistic. He doesn't have autism. We shouldn't be referring to it as like a disease that people have. It is a integral part of people who are autistic. And so I just wanted to address that now. I'm sorry for the slippage. I appreciate my patron who let me know about this, and I will be more mindful about my language going forward. All right, thank you. Hi, my name's Rachel, and today we're talking about House Rules by Jodi Picoult. This was the first Jodi Picoult book that I have read since high school. The last Jodi Picoult book I read was My Sister's Keeper in high school. I'm not opposed to reading another Jodi Picoult book in the future, but oh my god, this one is not good. No. Funny enough, this actually reminded me quite a bit of My Sister's Keeper. It has a lot of odd similarities in a way that I'm like, Jodi, why are we recycling things, Jodi? House Rules by Jodi Picoult is about a boy and his mother and his brother. The main kid is autistic, and that's really where our problems lie here. Not the fact that this features an autistic character, certainly. We should have autistic rep in books. We should talk about how a lot of systems are not made with autistic people in mind, such as the criminal justice system. But wow, Jodi, what were we thinking here, huh? What were we thinking, Jodi? Because the main character, the kid who has autism, is arrested for murder, and you go through the process of seeing him be on trial for murder and how it's just when is my computer gonna work today? Is my computer gonna work today? What are we doing? Oh, because it's connected to the neighbor's Wi-Fi. That makes sense, seeing as I'm definitely in the neighbor's house. First of all, I need to tell you that this video was commissioned. I would not have picked this book up on my own, but one of my patrons, Samar, asked me to read it, and Samar let me know that she was kind of baffled by the amount of 5-star reviews that this has. And I've got to say that I feel the same as Samar, because I am shocked. As a mom with a kid who has autism, I was kind of horrified by some of the conversations in this. Let me give you the synopsis so that you understand the premise. I'm going to read it to you because we all know I'm not great at telling you what a book is about, despite it being my job. When your son can't look you in the eye, does that mean he's guilty? Jacob Hunt is a teen with Asperger's syndrome. Oh yeah, we have to talk about that real quick. Asperger's syndrome is not a term that we really use in this day and age anymore. I will leave a link down below as to why, but let's just call it autism because it's all the autism spectrum. But not in this book. This book constantly calls it Asperger's syndrome. Asperger's. I don't remember. Jacob Hunt is a teen with autism. He's hopeless at reading social cues or expressing himself well to others, though he is brilliant in many ways, but he has a special focus on one subject, forensic analysis. A police scanner in his room clues him into crime scenes, and he's always showing up and telling the cops what to do, and he's usually right. But when Jacob's small hometown is rocked by a terrible murder, law enforcement comes to him. Jacob's behaviors are hallmark autism, but they look a lot like guilt to the local police. Suddenly, the Hunt family, who only want to fit in, are directly in the spotlight. For Jacob's mother, Emma, it is a brutal reminder of the intolerance and misunderstanding that always threaten her family. For his brother Theo, it's another indication why nothing is normal because of Jacob. And over this small family, the soul-searing question looms: did Jacob commit murder? Yes, the soul-searing question does loom, because instead of just, I don't know, asking Jacob, they go through an entire trial. This whole book is one of those books that could have been solved with a simple conversation. Don't love that. So Emma, as a mom, has basically had to make her whole life about taking care of her son who has autism. A lot of people don't understand him. Their dad abandoned Emma and the two kids, and he now has his own family off in California, a different family off in California. And they talk about how the reason that he couldn't be a good dad is because he has like undiagnosed autism of his own. And I was like, oh, that's kind of gross. You know that autism isn't like shorthand for just being shitty, right? That's not what that is. I don't know. A lot of the reviews of this were like, I can tell Jodi Picoult did her research. And I was like, was her research just Autism Speaks? because I feel like maybe she did not do her research. And we talk a lot about how Theo, the brother, resents the dynamic, the mom and Jacob, because a lot of their life is surrounding, needing to take care of Jacob. They have to be home every day at a certain time so that Jacob can watch his favorite crime TV show. They can't have, certain things in the house. They can only eat certain foods of certain colors on certain days of the week. Everything has to be in a very particular order, and Theo feels very frustrated by this. He's like 16 years old, and he starts committing like petty crime as a way to sort of like act out, even though, his mom doesn't find out about it. He starts breaking into houses and stuff and doing random shit like eating food out of people's fridge, and it's kind of fun. It reminds me, if you ever went through a phase where you did like petty crime as a teenager, I was like, I see it, yeah. I think a lot of us did like, stupid shit like shoplifting and like, breaking into abandoned buildings and things like that. Stupid petty crime, right? So I thought that was more well researched than the fucking autism rep in this. So Jacob has a companion friend, a girl whose name I don't remember, who is the murder victim, and she hangs out with him regularly in order to help him learn how to navigate social situations. And also she's being paid to do this, which Jacob did not know, and she's hanging out with him in order to help him learn social situations, but also it's helping her because she is going to become an educator for special needs kids in the future. That's what she's about to go to college to do, right? So she's the murder victim, and right before oh my gosh, this is where it just goes off the fucking rails, okay? So right before her murder, Jacob thinks that they have kind of like an almost feelings for each other. Like he definitely has feelings for her, and he tries to tell her in front of her boyfriend, fully understanding that is her boyfriend. They've been together a long time, or not a long time, but a few months now, like long enough that they're established. Like it's not their first date. And the boyfriend is an ableist piece of shit to Jacob and calls him the arsler. All of this has problems. All of this is an issue. First of all, there's no reason why Jacob would not understand that they are in a relationship, and that saying his feelings about her in front of her boyfriend would not be a problem. Like I don't think that makes any sense. On top of that, her being interested in special needs education, wanting to work with kids with autism, and then having a boyfriend who has for months called her client's son the R word, that does not make any sense. If I were Jacob's mom, I would fire her. I would try to get that guy expelled from whatever college he's going to. Like I would be on a rampage. I would lose it. And I just don't understand why a young woman who is interested in special needs education would be willing to bring somebody who is so violently ableist around a person who she's trying to get to work through social situations. That's bonkers to me. That was just, it didn't make any fucking sense. And it not making sense was never addressed in the text, and I was like, am I in the Twilight Zone? What the fuck is happening here? They get into a fight because Jacob tells her, like, I'm interested in you, and then he offends her boyfriend. Her boyfriend calls him the R word again, and it turns into a fight, and she says, Jacob, just leave, just get out of here. And then the next thing you know, Jacob is coming home, and he's sobbing, and he is having a complete meltdown, and has gone nonverbal, and his mom has to hold him. It's very bad, and she has to like hold him, so that he doesn't act out. Nobody's understanding what's happening. And also, he's like, I don't even know where to go from here. The next thing you know, he is being arrested because he had an interview with police where he said some shit that made it sound like he was to blame. And then throughout the book, he ends up getting a lawyer because he's being charged with murder, and they have to talk to the judge and the court about needing like special accommodations, which makes sense because it's too overwhelming for him. He might, have a meltdown because he can't do those social situations. And like as a mom with a kid who has an IEP, who needs like sensory breaks, I get it. I totally get it. What I'm not getting is how this was a whole book when it could have been solved with a simple conversation. Jacob and his brother Theo don't have much of a relationship. Theo doesn't have much of a relationship with anybody. He's very lonely, and that, is part of the reason for why he started doing like petty crime and stuff. And the petty crime is to blame for all this. So he and Theo don't have much of a relationship. One day he walks into the kitchen. There was this weird line that I didn't know what to do with. It was Jacob saying to Theo, because Theo was wearing his pants kind of low, hanging off his butt, with his like underwear showing. Jacob said, "Oh, is it Tupac Appreciation Day?" And I was like, what? Oh boy. I just don't feel like that was a line that needed to be written ever. Emma is trying very hard to parent, and her child is you know, in this position where he needs an IEP, and then the court doesn't really understand, and it brings up a good conversation surrounding, like, we do need to have conversations about, you know, if a kid has an IEP, then obviously they have a diagnosis, they have accommodations that are met in school, then why wouldn't the court take that into consideration? I don't know how the court works with folks with autism, but this is a good reminder that I don't know. Like, I don't know what would happen if my son my oldest were to be arrested for a crime, and I would have to explain, like, I don't know what I would do in Emma's position. And like, that's a good conversation to have. The Tupac Appreciation Day was not the only thing that I was like, why would you write that into a book, Jodi? What's going on here? There was also a point where she talks about her cooking and how this is kind of fucked up. Like, she says that because she has Jacob on a special diet that she learned off the internet that other parents with autism, I guess, use in order to help with symptoms of autism, which I don't know how much validity is in that. I don't do that for my kid. I don't know. I don't know. I've never had his neurologist tell me that that's a thing, but maybe. I don't know. I have no idea. But Emma's pretty strict on it, so he only can have certain things, and she says that Jacob told her that her cooking was a mashup of Jenny Craig, which is a diet, with Joseph Mengele, which is a really gross thing to say. Like, that's pretty fucked up. I just don't understand why you would write that into a book. And during the trial, his neurologist is talking about the fact that his autism could have been caused by vaccines, and the lawyer cringes, and he's like, oh no, you know, the jury's that's really contentious, the jury's not gonna like that. So you know that Jodi Picoult knows that that's a contentious issue at that point. But earlier in the book, Emma says that she believes that vaccines are to blame for Jacob having autism. She says, all I need to know is my son looked like any other 2-year-old until he got a round of DTaP and Hep B. I believe in vaccines, but I believe in spacing them out. So when I was 22 or so, I believed this too, because I was not educated. I was into, like, you know, like hippy dippy shit. That's just not what science tells us. For that to be in a book, I was just really concerned. And also, like, as a mom with a kid with autism, I kind of resent it being in a book because obvious reasons. I don't like it. So the thing about this is, again, this whole thing could have been solved with a simple conversation. We go through this entire trial, and I'm thinking, when are we going to find out what happened? Because Jacob keeps like hinting that he did not do it, but then saying like absolutely wackadoodle shit that makes you think like, wow, that's really gruesome. You're talking about like blood and like what you did with the body, like how you moved the body. So like, did you do it? His mom is questioning, did he do it? His lawyer is questioning, did he do it? The only one that's not questioning is Theo. So you know that Theo knows something. He says Jacob didn't kill her, but Theo also says that he did not kill her. So what happened? So you know that the two of them know something, and you don't find out until literally the last like 3 pages, when you find out that this whole time you've been waiting and waiting and waiting for this answer. The jury is deliberating, and you're waiting to find out whether or not this kid is going to be declared guilty or innocent. And finally, at the kitchen table with the mom and the lawyer, which by the way, they've been sleeping together, which, I mean, good for her, like getting a younger man, but also, okay, that's kind of weird. That, you know, I don't think that's appropriate for you to be sleeping with your client. Anyway, you find out at the dinner table that what happened was Theo had been breaking into houses, broke into the girl's house who was Jacob's companion, broke into her house, and he didn't know she was home, and she slipped, saw him, she was in her apartment, she's like, I'm gonna call the cops on you. She slipped in her bathroom and hit her head and died. He left, and Jacob knew that Theo had been there and thought that Theo killed her. So it was a miscommunication. So he covered up the act and tried to make it look like the boyfriend did it because he'd watched a lot of crime drama and thought he could do that. I just think that just did not need to be written. And Samar brought up how like a lot of people complain not about this book's autism rep, but like how it's formulaic. It is formulaic. It's a lot like My Sister's Keeper. 2 siblings, one needs a lawyer starts a relationship with the family, not romantic in that case, but it's very formulaic. But the problem here is not so much the formula, which is kind of weird, but the problem here is the bad autism rep. Just don't write things like this. And we already have an issue with autism rep being like this. So like other media that has autism rep that people are like, well, that's kind of is like The Good Doctor, right? That show on, is it ABC? And people feel very strongly that The Good Doctor is ableist. So in although it has received some praise too. So in the TV show The Good Doctor, we have a main character, Dr. Sean Murphy, who has autism. And the show attempts to shed light on the challenges that individuals with autism might face in a professional setting. So we kind of have like a similarity here between like the system of criminal justice that Jacob is in and the system of like the medical professional that Sean is in, and like navigating those things as a person who has autism. And it showcases Sean's exceptional medical talent, just like in the criminal justice system, Jacob has exceptional understanding of like forensics. But a lot of people criticize the show, understandably, for sensationalizing the autism, and I feel like a similar thing was done here with this book. Although in the case of like The Good Doctor, it's almost like a superhuman ability, how like good at his job he is, which oversimplifies and misrepresents autism. And people don't really look up autism. Most of the way that we learn about different disabilities, including autism, but also like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, a lot of that we learn is through the media. So having inaccurate media portrayals contributes to the general public having a limited understanding of things like autism. So real people with autism have diverse experiences and capabilities. So reducing them to like a set of traits can perpetuate harmful stereotypes and add to this, culture in which we don't really understand autism. I mean, just today I saw some ableist shit on the internet. Somebody on Instagram was making fun of somebody else and said they were making fun of like a group of people that they, thought were ugly, and they said all of these people look autistic. And I'm like, what does that even mean? And that just really goes to show like the culture we live in and how people think of other people who have autism. The miscommunication in this book is really frustrating, and people have the same issue with The Good Doctor. So Sean's difficulties in social interactions are at times like exaggerated for dramatic effect, reinforcing this miscommunication that all individuals with autism are not able to communicate effectively. And I feel like that same stereotype is like what the entire book House Rules hinged upon. This portrayal disregards the reality that many individuals with autism are capable of effective communication, albeit through different means. Sometimes it depends on the individual. So my kid is able to communicate with me. It's just sometimes he takes things very, very literally, and I have to reword a sentence so that he understands what I'm saying. Media creators really need to prioritize authentic representation. If you're going to portray autism, you need to have sensitivity readers, sensitivity creators, and not just one, because autism is a diverse scale of people with different experiences. And by consulting with these individuals and working closely with experts, Not Autism Speaks, media can offer a more accurate and diverse portrayal of autism that would lead to the general public having a better understanding of autism beyond generalizations and stereotypes. And this means that we have to have portrayals of characters with autism done by autistic actors that feature them in a wide array of roles, showcasing different challenges and abilities, rather than leaning solely into stereotypes as the entire narrative. Accurate and respectful representation is so important. While portrayals of autism can, raise awareness, like sure, we should be having a conversation about what it means to be a person with like sensory issues who is trying to navigate the criminal justice system. Like every person deserves to be met where they are if they have a disability in the criminal justice system, surely. And so while books like this can raise awareness about, such a topic, and we can have these very important conversations about that, we must also have these conversations approached with like sensitivity and commitment to doing it right. And that means breaking away from stereotypes and not saying that vaccines cause autism. And by doing this, media can play a positive role in promoting understanding and empathy towards individuals with autism, which would lead us to having a more inclusive society where we do have systems like criminal justice and also the medical system that is understanding that all of us have different and unique things about us, and sometimes we need accommodations for those things if they are something like a disability. We really have to be responsible in how we are portraying things. So I don't recommend this book, House Rules, but I am willing to read other Jodi Picoult books. I know there's one set in like I think it's like a shooting at an abortion clinic, and I'm very interested in reading that one because it keeps getting banned by fascists. So this is not the Jodi Picoult book for me, and I hope that Jodi Picoult rethinks some things that she did in here. I don't recommend this one, but let me know if you're a Jodi Picoult fan and if you read this book and what you thought of it. All I'm gonna say is tread very carefully if you are a mom of a child with autism, or if you are a person with autism yourself. Just be very careful with this book because it was kind of enraging to read at certain points. All right, that's it. Thank you so much to Samar for commissioning this, and thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe, leave your comments and questions down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Hello, it's Trashcan Rachel, and I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons, and those are Alexander, Allie Magpie, Amanda M, Ashley B, Bubble Tea, Cami, Chris, Claire, Des Robert, DJ Raptopus, Emperor's New Blues, Aaron, Eric, Farrower, Jack and Jill, John E, Casey McKenzie, Kate, Caitlin, Kelly K, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lek, Molly, Alice, Peggy, Rain. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me back there? Reese, Samar, Scarlett, Shiny, SMK. Thank you all so much for being a friend. And before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Potato Starch Marxist patrons, and those are AM Angel, Alicia, Amanda B, Andy, Angelica, Anita, Artie the Ninth, Ashley H, Ava, BB, Beck, Blythe, Bookish Brainrot, Ray, Bree, Brian, Caitlin, Carlin, Catherine, Kathy, Chris, CJ, Cole, Colleen, Corwin, Corey, Darren, Deborah, Diet Goth, Dorian, Dorothea, Ebby, Elise, Ember, Emily A, Emily L, Emma O.A, Aaron, Aaron K, Hannah C, Hannah T, Harpy Kiro, Hello There Darling, Ilianaka, India Inc, JM Tenant, Jay is on Olympus, JD, Jen with 2 N's, Jennifer T, Jenny G, Jillian, Jules, Just Pugsley, Kaylee, Kat, Katie, Katya, Kayala, Kendra, Kylie, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura, Lauren B, Library of Scars, Lisa B, Lou Siri, Luna Moth, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Marcella, Marquita, Maz, Malara, Meow Meow, James, Nat, Natalie M, Never, Nicole G, Nicole R, Nyan Binary, Paige E, Paige P, Penny Chilling, Foxglove, Pixel Stars, Puratheon, Rachel B, Rat Sarah, Reba, Rebecca, Ren, Robin, Rosie, Rowan, Other Rowan, Secoria, Sadie, Samantha, Sarah C, Sarah H, Sarah the Bear, Shamed, Shanae, Shannon, Shayna, Sheena K, Sean, Sierra, Stephanie, Talia, 3 Old Dogs, Tiana, Tina, Toast, Trashcan Teddy, Title Phoenix, Valentine, and Writer A. Thank you all so much for being a friend.